The clouds gather, heavy and dark, yet no rain falls. The earth waits, hoping, yearning for the life-giving water that once came so freely. But as the days pass, the sky remains stubbornly dry, and the land begins to feel the weight of its emptiness. What happens when the rain stops? What happens when the rhythm of nature is broken? Days turn into weeks, and the land grows thirstier. What was once fertile and alive is now nothing more than dust. The crops wither, the animals grow weak, and the once bustling farms stand empty. There's no sign of rain, no sign of life. The land is drying, with every breath of wind carrying the weight of its fate. As the land dries, wildfires rage across the countryside. The flames spread faster than anyone could have anticipated, fueled by the very conditions that led to this crisis. Without the rain to nourish the soil and plants, vegetation becomes dry and highly flammable. What was once a barrier against fire is now a tinderbox, waiting to ignite at the slightest spark. The fire spreads rapidly, devouring everything in its path. The forests, once thriving with life, now burn, adding to the already devastating toll. Without water, nature turns against itself, and even the firemen struggle to fight a fire they cannot contain. As the rain stops, the food system begins to collapse. The land, once abundant with life, is now barren and dry. Crops that once fed millions are now reduced to withered husks. Farmers, once proud stewards of the land, now face ruin as their crops fail to grow. Without water, the plants cannot survive, and the market shelves stand empty. With no food to harvest, the prices of the remaining items soar. Basic necessities like rice and bread are now out of reach for many. The rise in prices is a direct result of the devastation of the agricultural system. As food becomes scarcer, hunger becomes a pressing reality. Communities face starvation, and survival is no longer a certainty. As droughts grip the land, wildlife faces the harshest of struggles. Animals once abundant in these lands are now wandering in search of food and water. The once thriving habitats are now barren, and the very survival of species such as elephants, lions, and antelopes is threatened by the lack of basic resources. The death of these animals ripples through the ecosystem. The loss of key species destabilizes the food chain and affects everything from plant pollination to predator-prey relationships. When animals die from dehydration or starvation, it's not just the animals that suffer, but the entire ecosystem. The impact of drought on human lives is immediate and devastating. Communities that once thrived on agriculture and livestock are now facing economic collapse. With crops failing and water supplies dwindling, food and water have become the most precious commodities. Without water, basic sanitation becomes impossible. Diseases spread rapidly in overcrowded camps. People are forced to drink unsafe water, leading to diarrhea, cholera, and malaria. The overall health of entire populations is in jeopardy. Economically, the impact of drought is catastrophic. Families are losing their livelihoods. Farmers are being pushed to the brink of bankruptcy, and entire communities are being forced to abandon their homes in search of food and water. The social fabric of these societies begins to disintegrate as the struggle for survival becomes more desperate. This video explores the future impacts of the cessation of rain, highlighting the potential environmental threats that could lead to the destruction of ecosystems and the loss of biodiversity. Although this is a possible future, not a reality, the consequences of drought could be devastating to the food chain and the survival of life, making it an issue worth addressing now before it becomes a reality. Thanks for watching.